It was too hot to do anything else. Suddenly, she heard something similar to a whisper, as if someone was calling her name. She stood up so quickly that she almost stepped on a flower. "Hey, watch out," someone shouted, but the room was empty. She looked at the birds for a second and then started to laugh. "Yeah, right, as if you could talk. I don't think we'll take too long to learn, actually," the voice answered. "Who are you? Where are you?" Jonah wasn't scared. She felt curious. A part of her heart already seemed to know that she was about to meet the person who would change her world forever. "I'm right here. Careful with your left hand." Jonah raised both hands just in case and then saw that the big butterfly was walking. She wasn't a butterfly, but a tiny human-like figure moving very delicately. She was saying hello. She looked like a doll. Jonah thought that her wings were precious, purple and green. The girl couldn't see her face, but she was sure that she was smiling. "My name's Sky." She introduced herself. "As I bought the first flower." She seemed kind of nervous, but her voice had the same melody as the lullabies that her mother sang to her when she was a baby. "I needed to know if I could rely on you, Jonah, because this is very important. The flowers was a test." "But I almost," the tiny creature raised her hand, telling her to stop talking. "You almost pulled it out, I know, but you didn't do it. And don't you tell me it was because your mother asked you not to, because you could have done it anyways. I think you knew that this was something important. You have the soul of the forest, Jonah, like your mother and your grandmother. What do you mean? That you're a guardian? There are no forests here anymore, Jonah. The city has eaten them all, and the animals lost their home. We have always taken care of them, but this time the problem is just too big. We needed help from someone in the city, and your grandmother told us about you. The trip from her farm has been long and hard, but seeing you now, I think it has been worth it." "Nana Louise? Did she know you?" "Yeah, she always took care of us, and I think you already suspected that, didn't you?" Suddenly, Jonah remembered. She was 5 and she was laying on a bed of grass that extended up to the horizon. The wind smelled like flowers. The sky had never been so blue. She remembered this place fondly. Her mom had said that it was the perfect place for a child, and she hadn't been wrong. Nana Louise was at her side, putting some toys in the grass. Jonah had never understood why she did that until now. She left the toys for them, the big butterfly that would fly close to her every once in a while. Only now she knew that they were not butterflies, they were... "Are you a fairy?" she asked. Sky was sitting and petting one of her hamsters. "Yes, other people call us spirits of the forest gardeners. We were invisible for a long time, but then the city started to grow and we decided, disguising ourselves as butterflies, to be able to talk to the people, even though most of them prefer to ignore us. Not all are bad, you know. Anyway, I need your help. I'm sorry to tell you it like this without more explanation, but there is not time to lose. The forest is not growing. The heart has died." "What are you talking about?" "The first flower, the one that is next to the bed, it should have grown a lot more, but it hasn't, and I don't know why. And is there something I can do?" The question came from her mouth before she even realized it. For a week, she had been trying to get rid of the forest that had invaded her room, and now suddenly she felt the need to do everything that was in her power to save it. The truth is that I don't know. I haven't thought of anything, and this is she didn't want Sky to cry, but the truth was that she couldn't think of any solution. She ran to the kitchen and filled a glass with water. Maybe if she watered the flower while doing that, she realized it was the first time that her mom had always taken care of everything from the beginning. To be honest, she hadn't had to worry about anything in her life. Anytime that she had a problem, a difficulty, Clara had come to the rescue. But this time it was different. Sky had trusted in her, and she didn't want her to think that she had made a bad decision. The problem was that Jonah didn't see anything strange in the flower. Even more, it appeared shinier than ever. Wait, what if that was the problem? If she couldn't see the problem because she didn't have a relationship with the forest anymore? So many years living in the gray of the city. That night, the girl couldn't sleep. She tried to remember that she had changed since the last time she had visited her grandmother Louise. Maybe there lied the answer, but nothing. She got up from the bed and sat in the front of the computer. Her hands were ice cold. I wish it was easy as looking for the answer on the internet. She thought it sounded stupid, but for a second she was tempted to try it. To her side, Sky slept with the birds, but even so, she felt uneasy. "What's wrong with you?" she asked the flower sitting down next to it. It was really beautiful. She reached out a hand and touched it. The touch was cold, much too cold for any plant, like her hands. Why were they always cold? A doctor had once told her that it was because of the circulation, something internal. "The problem is inside," she whispered. "How to fix something that one isn't even able to see?" Grandma had always had an answer for things like this. Suddenly, she asked herself how it was possible that she hadn't found a solution for the cold in her hands. And then suddenly she remembered. The cold had started after they arrived in the city. Sometimes I think that we lose something instead of gaining it, her mother had said, and if... She put her hands around the flower again. She tried to remember the heat of the sun in her face, the farm, the forest, to remember a time when her hands weren't cold and her heart wasn't either. Suddenly her fingers started glowing, then the flower, and finally all the plants in the room. The marks on the ground suddenly changed into small blue flowers that covered everything. The doors of one of the wardrobe opened due to the size of a rose that was a small flower just a few minutes ago. Leaves of an invisible tree covered the ceiling. Jonah felt heat in her fingers, her arms, all of her body. It seemed as if the son of the forest had come to her. Sky woke up. "Now the forest is complete," she said, flying to Jonah and landing on her shoulder. She didn't seem surprised about all the glowing nature around her. "You knew this would happen. It wasn't even a question." The fairy nodded bashfully. "I couldn't tell you, sorry." She defended herself. "You needed to understand it on your own. I didn't bring the forest to you. I simply helped you to recover it." Jonah sat on the bed and looked around. A new world was opening for her. A green world, fresh, far from the gray-colored palette of the city. "Well, and now what?" she asked. "Now we wait. Animals will feel the call of the new forest soon, and they will come looking for help. Maybe other fairies could decide to come here as well. Maybe we will need to talk to more people." The truth is that I don't know, but believe me, this adventure has just started. The end. Good night, boys and girls. See you next week. Another episode of AKPA's Bedtime Storytime. Bye-bye.
AKPA, Bedtime Storytime. AKPA, Bedtime Storytime.